Pranams everyone and welcome back. In today's video, we're going to look at how to breathe correctly during your asana practice. As we have looked at in our previous discussions, that breath plays a very important role. Breath is that thing which is sandwiched between the body and the mind. So the way we move our breath while we are performing our asanas becomes very important. So we will look at one important breathing technique called the diaphragm breathing. I'm sure you would have heard this practice before. So before we get into the practice, let me give you a very short theory behind this practice. Within our body, there are different systems that work together, like the muscular system, nervous system, etc. Now, one of the most important functions is the nervous system. Now, within the nervous system, there is the sympathetic and the parasympathetic nervous system. We'll not get into the details, but for our understanding right now, we will understand it as one is responsible for the fight and flight situation. That is, if you need extra burst of energy to run away from a particular situation or get into or fight that situation. Something like, say, you're in your classroom or in your room right now, and there is a wild animal that jumps into your space without any warning. So what would you do? Or what does the body do? So there is a sudden burst of adrenaline into the system, with which you'll either run away from it or you'll have the courage to fight that wild animal, right? So this is the fight or flight response. The other one is when you're in a very calm and soothing environment, among in a beautiful serene forest or surrounded by mountains, your mind becomes very calm and quiet. So this is the other response, where when you're listening to a soothing music, etc., the mind goes into a state of calmness. So this is the other response. So one relaxes you and calms you, and the other one is the fight or flight. So these are two responses. Now let us understand how the breath plays a role in activating these two responses. Now, when we breathe, generally what is supposed to happen is, with inhalation, the stomach is supposed to go out, and with exhalation, the stomach is supposed to go in. This is the way we are supposed to breathe. Now, when you are in say when you want to fight the situation or run away from the situation, there has to be a trigger that has to go to the brain. And it is that trigger that releases a chemical into the bloodstream, which gives you that extra burst of energy. Now, without that stimulus, the brain will not react. Okay? And that stimulus that goes to the brain is through the breath. What happens is, I don't know how many of you have observed this, but when you're in a stressful situation, the way you breathe shifts. That is, with inhalation, the stomach will go in, and with exhalation, the stomach will go out. It's a very, very subtle movement. Not many of us catch it, but when this happens, it's a trigger that goes to the brain that I am in a stressful situation. Release that extra burst of energy with which I will either run away or I will fight. Now, do you understand why breath becomes very important? So, if we are not breathing correctly or diaphragmatically, no matter where we are, we may sit for meditation, we may be in a very beautiful place on earth, but we will not be able to relax because we are constantly releasing adrenaline into our bloodstream. So, if we have to stay calm and if we have to train our mind to be equanimous, which we have understood in one of the definitions of yoga, isn't it? So, if we have to train our mind to do that, we have to use breath also as a medium to give it that training. So, this is why diaphragmatic breathing becomes very, very important, and we will integrate this in all our practice. Okay, now that you have understood the theory, let's get into the practice. There is first a basic practice, which I recommend you do it for at least 3 to 4 days, and then get into the actual practice of diaphragm breathing. First, you'll place your right or your left palm in front of your stomach, navel, close your eyes, And with inhalation, you'll try to bloat the stomach out. And with exhalation, you will take the stomach in. Inhalation and exhalation is happening through your nose. Okay, keep your mouth closed and now practice along with me. Inhale, stomach out. Exhale, stomach in. Inhale, stomach out. Exhale, stomach in. Inhale, stomach out. Exhale, stomach in. Good. I hope you got the practice. Now, as you practice this, we need to integrate few more points that or rules to keep in mind while you do this practice. Rule number 1. When you inhale and exhale, there should be no sound in the breath. That is, you should not be able to hear the sound of your own breath. What I mean is, you shouldn't breathe like this. Shouldn't be like this. It should be very, very quiet. Like this. Okay, rule number 1. 2, try to make your exhalation longer than inhalation. Ideally, it has to be double that of inhalation. But for now, don't keep any counts. Just in your mind, just ensure that it is longer. So if you're, for example, you're inhaling for 4 counts, try and exhale for 5 counts or 6 counts, and with practice, it will become 8. Rule number 2. Rule number 3. When you inhale and exhale, do not hold your breath at any point. That is, after an inhalation, don't consciously stop your breath and then exhale. And after exhalation, do not stop your breath. Okay, it has to be a continuous flow, like a circle. You breathe in and then you immediately breathe out. Do not hold your breath at any point. 4th rule, last rule. While you practice, keep your spine straight and your attention on your breath. All right. So when you slouch, then there's no enough space within the body for the air to go and fill up the lungs. So try and keep your spine straight, and also it becomes easy for the energy to move in and out without any restriction. So please keep these 4 rules in mind. 1, no sound when you inhale and exhale. 2, no, you're going to make your exhalation longer than inhalation. 3, no stopping of breath at any point. And 4th, keep your spine straight and your attention on your breath when you inhale and exhale. So please follow these 4 rules and we will practice for a minute or 2. You can pause the video here now and practice for a minute or 2. Once you are done with your practice, how will you integrate this into your everyday life? As soon as you wake up in the morning, before you start your day, please cross your legs, sit on the bed, and practice this for at least 2 to 3 minutes. Not too much. Just if you have time, 5 minutes, great. And then before you go to bed, after you're done with scrolling through Instagram and Facebook, keep your phone aside. Again, cross your legs, sit on the bed without any back support, and once again practice this for few minutes and then go to bed. The beauty of this practice is you will be able to observe the results very quickly. Even with small effort, morning and evening, you will start observing that in a matter of week or so, the way you normally breathe will also start to change, even through the day. And you will start becoming quieter and calmer. You will not be reacting to situation. There will be a certain ease in yourself and you will observe the situation a little more and then react. In fact, you don't even have to wait for that long. Say if you've had a very stressful day and you are looking for, I don't know, some way to release the stress. And what are some common things that we go towards for releasing the stress? It could be a glass of beer, or we want to go and watch a movie, or we yell at someone or show our anger. So these are ways we release our stress. So try and become aware of this and sit quietly wherever you are. Close your eyes and start this diaphragm breathing just for 2 minutes. You'll observe that without putting any effort, that is intellectual effort, you're able to calm yourself down. So this breathing becomes very effective, especially in this situation. So integrate this into your practice and do this for at least 1 week. Next, once you're comfortable and you're used to this, now we will learn the actual way to breathe diaphragmatically. Once again, a little more theory so that you're able to visualize and then the practice becomes better. I'm sure you would have done this experiment in your school where the teacher would have taught how the lungs fill up with air when the diaphragm muscle is pushed down. So the experiment that you would have seen is a plastic bottle would be cut into half, and at the open end there would be a rubber band, and then there would be a straw that goes in and they close the bottle hole, and the other end of the straw there would be a small balloon. And when the balloon at the other end of the bottle is pulled down, the air is pulled into the straw and it fills the balloon that is tied in. So it's the same logic. Okay, keep that visualization in your mind and think of your body, and at the one half here, just below the lungs, there is a diaphragm muscle which starts from one end and goes to the other end and attaches itself to the other side. Diaphragm muscle is considered as one of the strongest muscle in the human body. Unfortunately, it's also the least used muscle. So hopefully we'll start to revive it, and reviving muscles takes a little time. So you have to be a little patient as you're learning this. Now what we're going to learn is we are trying to push this diaphragm muscle down, and as a consequence of this movement, it is going to pull the air in. So you're not going to put any effort to suck the air in through your nose like this. So there is a shift in the way, a mental shift that we are trying to bring about in the way we approach breath itself. So we are not going to suck the air in, we are going to put effort to move the diaphragm muscle down. And because this moves down, air is going to move in and fill the lungs. And because the diaphragm muscle moves down, the stomach will also get pushed out. Okay, I hope you're getting the logic of the practice. Now let's get into the practice. What you're going to do is place both your hands on either side of your rib cage. So like this, the thumb and the pointer finger like this towards the last part of your rib cage. Very gentle pressure, just the weight of the hands will put gentle pressure on your rib cage. Keep your eyes closed, and what you're going to do is you're going to try and push this rib cage out. And the only way the rib cage will move out is if you expand your diaphragm muscle. And because the diaphragm muscle expands, it's going to push the rib cage out. So if you observe this video closely and just try and look at how my hands move. I'm going to breathe in or expand the diaphragm muscle. Now the diaphragm muscle is expanded. Now I'm going to contract the diaphragm muscle. Once again, inhale and exhale. I hope you are able to observe this subtle change. So this is what you're going to practice. You may not be able to observe any movement in the first few days, maybe 3 or 4 days, but with practice, you will start observing the movement of your rib cage. And once that happens, then it just keeps getting better. So be patient. Start with moving the stomach. Don't jump into this practice immediately. And keep doing this practice for at least 1 week, because as you move the stomach, the diaphragm muscle gets activated. And then when you get into this practice, it becomes easy. All right. And the 4 rules that we have learned applies to this practice as well. Remember these 4 points, and after a week, start getting into this practice. For first few days, you can keep your hands by the side of your rib cage so that you are aware that the rib cage is moving out and in. Once you know how this technique works, then simply place your palms on your knees like this, or you can bring your pointer finger and the thumb together, place your hands and breathe. Clear? So, this is the practice of diaphragm breathing, and it is the same technique that we will use in all our asanas, pranayama. And if we keep doing this, when we learn meditation and meditation techniques, it becomes easy. All right, so this is the practice of diaphragm breathing. Very important. Please do not ignore this. Most of the techniques that are very important to us are very easy. So we don't need anything complicated to advance ourselves. So sometimes simple things bring us greater results. So please practice. Give yourself at least 5 minutes in the morning and 5 minutes in the evening, and you'll start seeing the difference in less than a week. Thank you, and I'll see you in my next video.